Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I am your host, Eric Smith. Today, I am talking about Behold, the Undead of Dracula. Lurid tales of cinematic gothic horror. This is edited by Jonathan Raab. Always going to mess up his name. It's from Muzzleland Press. And it is, well, lurid tales basically inspired by Hammer horror. You know, cinematic gothic horror. That's Hammer. And I love that cover. So you got a lot of great authors in here. Just to name a few, we have Gwendolyn Kist, William T., Gemma Files, Krista Carmen, Sean M. Thompson, Heather L. Levy, or Levy. I never know how to pronounce that name. Tom Breen. Yeah, I've left out a few, but that's the way it goes. Anyway, so there's a nice mix of stories in here that range from stories that just read like they're Hammer films, whether they're set in the 70s or a century or so ago. They're just straight stories that feel like they would fit in the Hammer library. You've got vampires, you've got other occult creatures and goings-on. And then you have more, for lack of a better term, meta stories about the filming of movies that would fit into the Hammer library. But the stories themselves feel like Hammer stories, if that makes sense. So it's not just, hey, here's a film production crew, they're making this vampire movie. Or in one particular case, they're making a movie based on Edgar Allan Poe. The whole thing, whether it's the parts that they're filming or the narrative of the story itself, feels like Hammer horror. Does that make sense? So, just a quick look here, because I wasn't smart enough to take notes. The Gwendolyn Kist story. Over the Violets There That Lie. I think that's the one with where they're making an Edgar Allan Poe movie. I really enjoyed that. Unfortunately, yes, that's the one. So, unfortunately, at the top, it doesn't, some anthologies will have the story title and the author name up at the top. So it's easier to just flip through and find the story. Unfortunately, this doesn't do that. But anyway, yeah. So the Gwendolyn Kist story, there's this sort of put upon wife taken for granted by her husband, sort of doesn't know where she fits into the world, and she gets pulled into starring in this movie, this gothic horror movie based on 3 or 4 Edgar Allan Poe stories. But as she soon learns, they're more inspired by, not based on, and things aren't quite what they seem, and it's creepy and gothic and wonderful. Again, I'm just going to look here. Diabolus in Musica. Really one that I liked. About a composer who he and his wife have moved into his mentor's home. His mentor's died, and our character has been composing movies or music for Hammer type movies, but he hasn't really done anything that good or that special. He's afraid that he's gonna lose work, and after having moved into his mentor's home, weird things start happening, and I'm not going to tell you what, because that would just spoil it. But fantastic, one of my favorite stories in here. Excuse me. See, and then you have stories like the title, just Taste of Fear in the Night, European release title, Curse of the Mountain Witches. So that's the full title of the story. So you see the kind of thing that they're going for here. You should smile more. The Blood Coven of Arcana. I like that. Mina's Castle was really nice. That was the only one that didn't have a period feel to it because it's told in the form of emails. So that makes it a little more modern. Everything else felt that at the very latest it was in the 70s. And then again, like I said, there's stuff that takes place way in the past. But this one was in the form of emails, which is nice because it mimics, this is called Mina's Castle. And, of course, Mina from Dracula. And so the fact that it's told in a series of emails mimics the fact that Dracula is told in letters, journal entries, etc. It's basically, as someone pointed out to me recently, Dracula is essentially a found footage movie in book form. Because everything is... there's no narrator telling the story. It's all either letters, journal entries, whatever. And so that I liked that this mirrored that. Cleaver Castle of Carnage presents The Coven Strikes Back. That was a lot of fun. Who did that one? Krista Carmen. And this is one of those where it's a film production crew filming a movie. Things are happening. And it's creepy. But it's good. Ooh, The Bloody Cask of Rasputin. That was a crazy one. So Gemma Files, the very last one. The Filthy Creation of Frankenstein. Frankenstein is my favorite of the classic horror novels. I like it better than Dracula. I've read it multiple times. So this, I really, really liked this version of the Dracula story, and it really feels like a Hammer film. But in this one, Elizabeth, I believe is her name, marries Victor and is part of what he's doing. And there's also Paul, I think is his friend's name. Don't take my word for it, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And they're sort of this threesome, Victor, Elizabeth, and Paul, and they're doing things, perhaps nefarious, perhaps mad, but, it's life and death, stitching bodies together, doing things. And then sort of the world, or at least some people in the world, interrupt them and force them into things. I don't want to give anything away. I believe it's the longest story in here, and it's definitely one of my favorites. Very, very good stuff. So obviously I have not told you about every story that's in here. I think I gave this 4 out of 5, at least 4 out of 5 on Goodreads. I like the stuff I've read from Muzzleland Press. I like everything I've read from Jonathan Raab. Even though he's just the editor of this. Although I thought he had a story in here, but I do not see his name. But anyway, doesn't matter. Fantastic. If you're a fan of horror, Hammer horror, this is a must-read. If you're a fan of Gothic horror, you want to check this out. You just want to read some great horror. Pick it up. And come on, how could you not love that cover? It's crazy. It's lurid. It's screaming Hammer horror. After each story, there are author notes. So each author talks about sort of their experience with Hammer movies and what inspired their stories. So that's cool. I always love that kind of stuff. So there you have it. Behold the Undead of Dracula, lurid tales of cinematic Gothic horror. Highly recommended. Check it out. It's good stuff. So if you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put them in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post spoiler warning. We try to be polite here at the Low Budget Review Show. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you'd care to follow me on other social media, my Twitter is @Ronin5757. My Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comics, board games, and fuzzy animals, is Eric Smith 5757. That's Eric with a K, ERIKSMITH 5757. That's all I've got. This has been the Low Budget Review Show. I have been Eric Smith, and until next time, read more books.